Hey, it's your boy Trippy. Welcome back to whatever this podcast is named. Glad that you guys returned for another episode. This format of this episode, we're going to talk about what's been going on in the crazy world of combat sports, and I'm going to answer some of the questions you guys left me on the last podcast. I'm going to say this again. If you guys want your questions to be featured in the next podcast, leave your questions under this one, and I will answer them in the next one. To know if your question will be answered, I will like your comment. Unless it's something stupid, then I might not answer it. But with that being said, please remember that if you want your question to be answered, leave it under this podcast. Leave it. Comment it under this, and I will answer it in the next one. If it's not just something that's going to get me in trouble with YouTube. Even though I'm got 300 freaking subscribers. Whatever. 300 subscribers, and I love all 300 of you guys. You guys give me motivation daily to bring you guys the best MMA content on YouTube, and that is a fact. You guys literally keep me pushing. What I be thinking in my head is just if I was maybe sitting at maybe still 25, 30 subscribers, I probably would have ventured into something else. I'm not going to lie. But since I grew, and I know how bad I want it, and since I've grown and I get to see the comments under the videos and you guys supporting me, I'm so small, and yet I'm getting supporters at such a small, on such a small platform that I have. But on a massive platform like YouTube, you guys can literally go subscribe to anybody, like all these other big MMA analysts, even the major ones like Ariel Helwani and the Dan Hardys and all those guys. You know, you guys could go and just only listen to them and be like, this guy has 315 subscribers. What the heck does he know? But you guys show me support, and that really gives me faith in where this channel is going to go if I keep pushing. I would never let you guys down with quitting. I'm not a quitter. But alright, so I'm actually going to answer you guys' questions now due to how much we have to cover in the podcast. But that doesn't mean freaking click off once you hear your question asked, because we got to cover a lot in this podcast, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the first one that I see here, and it is by, dude, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm so sorry. Gigajit. I'm so sorry, dude. But he asks, who do you think is the most underrated champion in the UFC? Much love, Trippy. Thanks, Weege. I'm gonna just call you that, man. Much love to you too. Who is the most underrated champion in the UFC? I mean, it has to be Aljamain Sterling, because I understand the way he lost, but people forget that Aljamain Sterling is actually good. He's actually pretty good, and he actually has a chance to beat Peter Yan in a rematch. It's unlikely, but Aljamain Sterling has legit skill, you guys. So he is the most underrated champion. He's also the most disrespected due to the fact that he won the title, and I understand how he won the title, but people want to act like Aljamain Sterling is trash and that he's just going to get the crap beat out of him. You got to understand that there is a solid chance that Aljo comes back. Why? There's a chance that he strangles Peter Yan, if Peter Yan even makes it there. What happens if Corey Sandhagen beats Peter Yan, which we'll get into later in the podcast if you guys tune in. Imagine if Corey wins the interim strap. Knowing how that fight went between them the first time, Aljo could just choke him out again. Just because he has a massive advantage in the grappling. That is the harsh truth. Another harsh truth is that Corey is a nightmare matchup for Peter. But once again, we'll get into that later in the podcast. But thanks. Good question, man. Good question. But it's definitely Aljo. And the next question comes from a guy named Dragon's Rage. Cool name, by the way. I like your name. Who's a UFC fighter you dislike the most and why? Good video. Thank you so much, bro. UFC fighter I dislike the most, probably either, I'm not going to lie to you guys, if it's not apparent in my videos, it's either Sean O'Malley or Colby Covington. Why Colby Covington? I like Colby's style, but as a person and the crap that I actually have a few. So I don't have just one. So I got a few. If this doesn't completely answer your question, there's not just one guy. I actually dislike a few guys in the UFC. There is Sean O'Malley, because I feel like he is really talented. He is really good. But just if you guys go out to anywhere, like a UFC event, or just watch a fight at a sports bar, or talk to a few other guys that, there's guys in my gym that know I cover MMA content on YouTube. and they're just talking to me, and then they bring up Sean O'Malley like the casual that they are, and they just talk about him as if he's like some type of god, bro. And that just makes me mad. And I'm like, you just don't realize who he's doing this to. You know, he's not doing this to top-ranked contenders. He's doing this to hand-picked, cherry-picked UFC fight. I'm just being honest. But, and then Colby Covington, I mean, because of just some of the crap he says, man, it's just, he goes too far. Disrespecting the dead, that's just, I can't vibe with that. I don't care if it's a character. It's a character, bro. If your character goes too far, that still says something about you as a person. The fact that you will do anything for money, for an extra paycheck, or for people to notice you. It's like you're selling your soul, pretty much. You're just a sellout, and I don't like that, man. I don't like that. And that doesn't mean that I'm biased towards him fighting. Colby Covington is a great fighter, but yeah, I hope Usman chins him, to be honest. And then my last one is Justin Gaethje. I think Justin Gaethje is bitter. I think Justin Gaethje is super bitter. Once again, I like his fighting style, and I will never just pick against. I picked Justin Gaethje to knock out Chandler just because I know styles and I can just call it right down the middle sometimes, but I'm willing to eat my words, and I hope I eat my words. I hope Michael Chandler sends Justin Gaethje's chin to the floor, but it's just that Michael Chandler isn't just all that durable now these days, man. Been through too many wars, and you know, he's 35 years old, battle-worn, battle-tested, damaged goods, you know. I still like him, though. I hope he chins Justin Gaethje, but I don't think he is. But yeah, and just calling fighters quitters and just hating. Yeah, I don't know why Islam Makhachev jumped from 15 after beating a number 14 ranked guy. Now he's in the top 5, and Michael Chandler had these opportunities that he didn't deserve, and Charles Oliveira is a quitter, and da-da-da. Just hating, bro. Just hating. I cannot stand haters. They are just poison. But he has a friend-friendly style, and I love watching him fight because he's exciting as freaking... He's super exciting. So I can't let that get in the way of how I call fights and enjoying the sport. So to answer your question, I went on a bit of a tangent there. To answer your question, I have 3 fighters. Justin Gaethje, Colby Covington, and Sean O'Malley. Those are my 3. Not saying that they can't redeem themselves, but from what I've just been shown, they get on my nerves the most, bro. Good question. Thank you, Dragon's Rage. And so, the next question, and the last question, 3 questions we got asked today, comes from Brianna Mitchell, and she asks, do you think Jon Jones deserves to fight again after all of this? Short answer is no. But that doesn't get in the way of the fans, and, you know, Jon Jones, for what he's done, he should be arrested, you know. Imagine if another GOAT in another sport. Imagine if LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Imagine if LeBron James was surrounded in this much controversy. Just off the court, he beat his wife and does drugs and tests positive for steroids over and over again. Just imagine. Imagine where LeBron James's career would be if he did all the stuff that Jon Jones does. Exactly, man. You can't imagine it. Our GOAT in our sport, the greatest of all time in our sport, is a complete moron, and it's a black eye on the sport. He's bad for business, but he's going to sell a lot. In terms of money, he's going to be great, but he's bad for business in terms of respect for the sport. People are just going to think thugs run the UFC because you got 2 of the most popular fighters, him and Conor, just out here doing dumb stuff, making the sport look like it's just so bad. But to answer your question, the short answer is no. He doesn't deserve to. But is he going to? Yes. And is people going to tune in and watch? Yes. And because now you're going to have his supporters come out even more, and you're going to have people that hate him want to see him get knocked out. So that's it for the questions. This podcast is going to be longer than usual, but let's jump into what's been going on inside the crazy world of combat sports, shall we? Let's do it. Okay, so we had the heavyweight boxing match last night. Insane, right? Insane. Okay, I'm not trying to be a hype writer or whatever you want to call me, or wave rider. Everybody's like, this is the best boxing match I've ever seen. Dude, it in my opinion, in the state of boxing, that may have just saved the sport right there. Like, big time. Like, that just gave them some more airtime. Because let's be honest, the UFC has been crushing them for a minute. Only because it's not necessarily the sport of boxing, like how it is. It's just that the promoters in it. The promoters have ruined boxing. And now you got freaking TikTok stars and Jake Paul and YouTubers doing it. And it's making the sport just look more and more like a joke. But that right there just shown us that sports haven't died completely. Sports period has been watered down, and it seems like the UFC is just the only thing that is really just has not been watered down, honestly. And it's like sports are getting soft, football, basketball, all these things. It's getting boring, it's getting predictable, and the UFC just keeps climbing and climbing due to its unpredictability. But boxing was heading in the same direction. Not only that, having the fights that we like, making fights and then not delivering on the promise. Like, AJ, for examples, AJ Wilder, AJ Fury, freaking basically every fight that AJ's been rumored to have. All these boxing matches, man, and they just don't materialize, and it makes the fans really, really upset. Whereas in the UFC, the best fight the best, period. But with that being said, that heavyweight title fight, I mean, let's just talk about what happened. So first of all, Tyson Fury came into the fight 277 pounds, and Deontay Wilder, I guess, tried to not match him because he knows he can't get that big. I wonder what would Deontay Wilder even look like at 270 pounds. He wouldn't look like a bronze bomber. He wouldn't look like a bronze bomber. He'd look like a freaking Brahms sack of chocolate ice cream. Not trying to be racist, but I mean, it's just like the dude would look like, I don't know. The dude would look like a grocery bag of chocolate pudding if he tried to make it to 277 pounds. I'm black, so I can say it, so don't freaking cancel me. But Tyson Fury looked like a giant sack of, Greek yogurt. No joke. That's how he's built. Like a trash bag full of Greek yogurt. That's what Tyson Fury looks like. That's what his body looks like. But anyway, I'm done roasting these guys because they would knock me out in a fist fight. So, anyway, so, yeah, it's just that Deontay Wilder, man, it's like he can't, not only can he not fight backwards, but he just got simply just outsized because Tyson Fury had two advantages. He was just a better boxer, which everybody knew, and he's bigger. So it's like, and everybody, a lot of people. So I watched the fight with a few of my family members. We had a little fight party, we grilled, we did all this, and we went and watched the fight. So, what's crazy is that when Wilder got hit with the first punch, he got hit with the 1-2. The first clear punch that he got landed on, it clearly rocked him. He got hit with a 1-2, and it was a big reaction he had. But people were saying Deontay Wilder has no chin. That's not true. Deontay Wilder actually has an iron chin. It's just that he's getting hit by a 277-pound man. But I'm going to break this fight down honestly and objectively, and I'm going to break it down completely for you guys because, a lot of guys, a lot of people, the casual fans, I love the casual fans, only because they make the sport better because there's more eyes on it. There's more excitement around it because more people want to watch it. So you can have things like fight parties and, loud environments to watch a fight, like at sports bars or anything like that. They make it fun, sometimes. But they clearly don't really understand the sport because Deontay Wilder opened up with body attacks that were clearly working, but nobody in the room saw it. Everybody's like, man, that's weak. Everybody was just kind of watching the fight and just basically was only looking for Tyson Fury to land or for one of the guys to land up top. And I was like, you guys, Deontay Wilder is doing work right now. He came out and he started working that body and Tyson Fury was backing up. That was the most important thing. When Deontay Wilder came out and he started lighting up the body of Tyson Fury, because what guys got to understand, Tyson Fury may not have a ton of holes in his game boxing-wise, but physically, that is a hole in his game. Yes, he's big, but what comes with big size like that and fat also comes with the fact that your body is soft. And so it also works with skinny guys as well as overly fat guys. When you have too much there or you have too little there, it's going to be an issue if somebody tries to hit you in it. What really is best to absorbing body shots is actually a body type like Deontay Wilder's, a muscular abdomen, to where if you get hit, it's still going to suck because you're not flexing all the dang time, but at least it's tightened up so it wouldn't hurt as bad as if it was somebody with a softer body type. Do you guys get what I mean? So, basically, Deontay Wilder came out and started attacking the body. Jabs to the body. Jabs to the body again. Jab to the body again. Even the jabs were backing Tyson Fury up, and he was making Tyson Fury play his game because he had Fury backing up. The body shots were working. Although nobody noticed it, I clearly saw it because I was like, man, Tyson Fury is really reacting to these body shots. then it was almost instant. Once Tyson Fury started landing up top and it started going a little downhill for him, and Tyson Fury basically got into his range and started making Wilder play his game, he completely stopped going to the body. That was frustrating. And I wouldn't say that's what ultimately went to his downfall. That definitely isn't the only thing, but he should have definitely kept working the body. But really, the story of the fight is that Tyson Fury obviously clearly was the better boxer, but also he was the bigger man, you guys. And it's that Deontay Wilder can't fight going backwards, and Tyson Fury ultimately just forced him to, because a lot of the things with the leg problems and everybody saying like, oh my gosh, he had noodle legs. So that isn't only the fact that he was rocked. He was also tired, but what was gassing him out and what was making his legs go mainly, it was mainly his legs. It may not even just be that he was just completely gassed. It was mainly his legs were gone. And why it was gone is because Tyson Fury does that dirty strategy. It's a dirty strategy, but for some reason they allow it. Whenever they clinch up, Tyson Fury puts his weight on him and puts Deontay Wilder's head in a headlock, making Deontay Wilder bend forwards. And Tyson Fury will put all that fat on him, all 270 fat, it just completely leans on him. There was moments in the fight where Deontay Wilder completely lost balance and fell to the ground. You know, it's not technically legal to do that. It's not even legal to clinch. That's why the ref separates you. But it's like, you're not supposed to just completely just lay on the guy and put him in a headlock. You're not supposed to do that. But Deontay Wilder, if he were to clinch, he needed to stay standing upright. So that way, he's not bending over. Because whenever you're bent over like how he was, you can't breathe properly like that. And then, what is supporting you the most whenever you're bent over like that? Your back and your legs. That is what is taking most of the blow. Is whenever Tyson Fury bends him over and he's got him in a headlock and he's laying on him like that, it's his legs and his back. So then when they separate him and Deontay Wilder has to pick himself back up after carrying his weight and Fury's weight, it's going to take a toll on him every single time. And every time they clinched, it took a toll out of Deontay Wilder. And then it was almost as if the moment. So basically, after the body attacks and Tyson Fury started putting his weight on him, Deontay Wilder completely stopped, especially after getting lit up top. Once the punches started landing up top, the jabs and the uppercuts and the 1-2s, a big 1-2 landed, he just stopped. And then it ultimately led to him getting dropped. And he got dropped the first time and he hit the canvas. And it was honestly like, that was a very humbling moment for him. He got dropped and he was like, man, it's like, okay, I got dropped. He's like, why am I getting dropped? It was almost as if like he didn't know. Because the way that he took the last fight is almost as if he couldn't believe that he lost to Tyson Fury. In his head, he's like, I'm this jacked, big, tall, 6'7" black dude. I'm an athlete. I knock everybody out that I fight. It's pride, right? And I just got beat up by this guy, and he looks like freaking a lumberjack. Well, but the truth is that lumberjack can box. He is a tough son of a gun, and he is just a great boxer. Deontay Wilder fell too much in love with his power, man. It's true. But let's talk about that fourth round where so Tyson Fury rocks Deontay Wilder, drops him. Everybody thought that the fight was pretty much over. And then this is why you don't sleep on a guy who has the power of Deontay Wilder. Because Deontay Wilder came in heavy, which means that he is going to hit harder. Although the weight ultimately also played to his downfall, and Tyson Fury, just being the genius boxer that he is, was like, okay, he's coming in heavier, I'm gonna make him pay for that. And leaned all over him. Because Tyson Fury didn't even attack the body like that. He just mainly just leaned on him once he got into range and then just tried to knock him out with every shot that he threw. Because Tyson Fury was throwing those shots with mean intentions. But anyway, basically, everybody thought that the fight was circling out of control for Deontay Wilder. Like, basically, this is it. After he got dropped the first time. And he got up and he was on noodle legs. But he rocks Tyson Fury twice. Not gonna lie to you guys, I thought that he was gonna get him out of there, especially after he rocked him the second time. Once I saw Fury like drop the second time, I was like, oh my gosh! Like, there's a 3 knockdown rule. I don't know if it was in effect for this. I'm pretty sure because it's Las Vegas. Dude, Las Vegas does the 3 knockdown rule. I think actually, if Tyson Fury would have got dropped a third time in that round, he couldn't have got saved by the bell. The fight would have been over. I was like, oh my gosh, Tyson Fury, you better stay on your feet for these last 17 seconds. And Deontay Wilder came out trying to kill him, of course, but he had no legs. So it was like, he couldn't deliver in just the same way. And then we can go on and on. Basically, the fight ended up, it was just great, man, back and forth. But after that round, Tyson Fury started beating up Deontay Wilder again, and then Tyson Fury got rocked again, standing up. So they were in like close range. I believe this was the 10th round or the 11th round. 10th round, right? Tyson Fury, basically, because whenever you're beating up a guy like that, you tend to get a little reckless. And he got reckless and walked into a big uppercut, and it hurt him. And then everybody got crunk in the room because it was like, oh my gosh, it was random, just a random shot that Tyson Fury walked into. And Deontay Wilder was like, literally pretty much put in his last ditch effort. Like, that was all that he had left, and he couldn't finish him. It was literally like 10 seconds left in the round. But, we all know how the 11th round went. Tyson Fury comes out, started piecing up Deontay Wilder again, and it's like Deontay Wilder took big shot after big shot. The guy has a granite chin. It's just that the size, the skill, and just the tactics, the way Tyson Fury fought him, it's a detriment to him. Tyson Fury has Deontay Wilder's number, and it was ever so apparent. It was just super apparent after Tyson Fury lands a devastating knockout shot that put Deontay Wilder out. I couldn't believe it. He was out cold, man. And then the camera panned over to his girlfriend. She's holding her mouth and she's just tearing up. And I was like, oh my gosh. Second of all, let me say this to you trolls. So you guys that come over and leave hate comments, not just to me, because you guys even do it to me, and I'm not even like famous. But you guys, after a fighter suffers a devastating loss, I understand the way Deontay Wilder acted to this point. I understand that he pissed a lot of people. He pissed me off with the delusion. And it almost made you want to root against him. But the harsh truth is that, or the sad truth is that, when these fighters, imagine you fighting in just a small crowd. Imagine you get into a fist fight at your gym, right? Let's say you're at the gym. You get into a fist fight with this skinny, scrawny, whatever, or this super fat dude that was just pissing you off. He keeps talking crap to you or whatever, and y'all get heated, and y'all start throwing fists, and you get knocked out. Like, in an embarrassing, like, bad. You get slept bad, and everybody's videotaping, because that's what people do whenever there's a fist fight. Instead of breaking it up, they freaking video record you. Imagine the gym is crowded, there's a bunch of hot chicks, or there's just a bunch of just guys in there, and you get knocked out in front of your friends, the hot chicks in the gym, everybody in the gym, and people are recording it, putting it on their Snapchats, and it goes viral. What would you do? What would you do? I know one thing, you're not showing your face in that gym anymore. I know that. You're definitely canceling your membership and going to a different gym. So imagine dealing with that, but on a grander scale. You would feel like crap. You just got knocked out in a fist fight. You lost a fist fight. As a man, that is one of the most degrading things, is to lose a fist fight to another man, especially getting knocked out. And yet you got the trolls on the internet. I feel like you guys really need to just evaluate the purpose that you bring to the world, Like, what if your highlight of your day is to get a reaction from somebody by you being so mean, like basically to get somebody to react to how mean you're being, you really gotta like really ask yourself tough questions, like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I like this? So basically what I'm saying is to go comment after on a fighter's Instagram or on their Twitter or whatever and just tweet them nasty stuff. You got knocked out, you bum, retirement, I mean, why? Like, what is the point in that? What is the point in that? I don't get that. I don't know why people do that. They do that to UFC fighters. Do it to everybody. And it's like, these guys are humans too. And like I know, they read their comments. Yeah, they do it. Fighters Google themselves. Fighter do that. Like, it's just that, imagine if you wake up and there's like 1,000 different articles a day on you. You would probably be like, I wonder what's being said about me right now. They do that. All celebrities do it. Why? Because, they're human. They're human. I know if I had 3 million Instagram followers, or just 3 million people knew me, or 3 million people knew me on social media, but even more knew me for what I do, they just don't follow me on social media, I know I'd be like, I wonder what the heck people are saying about me today. That's just what it is. But, alright, let's move on, man. But basically, what is next for Deontay Wilder, bro? Tyson Fury needs to unify the belts against Alexander Usyk, but I'm going to be real with y'all. I know people are high on the Usyk train. Usman is too damn small, man. I know he just beat up the bigger AJ, the hard hitter AJ. But AJ is not a better boxer than Fury, and Fury is much larger than him. So Fury has size, and he can actually box with Usyk. Not just try to knock him out. He can actually box with him. That's a tough fight for Usyk, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not saying he can't win, but that's a tough fight for him, bro. He's almost he's a half a foot, literally he's a half a foot shorter, and he's outweighed by he weighed in 221, that's the heaviest he's ever been. So he'd be 225 fighting a 270-pound man, and he's 8 inches, almost 5 inches shorter. Yeah, that's a tough ask, man. I'm not going to lie. 6 inches. That's a tough ask. 6'9" to 6'3". Tough freaking ask. But Deontay Wilder, man, if I'm him, dude, I'm changing weight classes. I don't know what it's like. I think that Deontay Wilder, if he can, I know that the dude is lean, but that's the thing, he's lean. And I know that he'd have to cut a lot of weight, man. He might not be able to make it, but I would say light heavyweight, bro. Because he's pretty small, and I think just the number at heavyweight, I think his number has been put out there, bro. He could possibly make a return and say, like, hey, man. He could say, like, hey, man, like, I'm reinventing myself at this weight class. That was never my real weight class in the beginning. And then that'd be kind of a flex because you would see all that he's accomplished in the heavyweight division. And you're like, that's not your weight class. And then try to go reintroduce himself to the light heavyweight division. But, dude, that's like, what, 40 pounds? He'd have to, oh, my gosh. I don't know. But I'm just saying that from a hopeful standpoint because I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. But I'm also a Gypsy King fan. So, basically, if Deontay Wilder could make light heavyweight, nobody would beat him. Especially if he could carry that power. Nobody is going to outweigh him. Nobody is going to be taller than him. Nobody is going to be able to compete with him just with the power, period. There's going to be better boxers than him because there's just going to be them everywhere. I don't know how that would affect his chin either. But, it's just that if he would still be the same, it's just that the weight cut would be hard, but he could still bulk up and still perform at his best at the weight after bulking back up after weigh-ins. Nobody's going to beat him at light heavyweight. He knocks everybody out. I'm just being honest. I'm being real. The size, the reach, the power, he'd be a nightmare for that division. I don't know anybody that could beat him. But, I don't know if he can make that, man. I really don't know. But if he wants to return to the heavyweight division, Andy Ruiz or an Anthony Joshua match, why not? They both are coming off losses in the heavyweight division. Why not make those two together? But, boxing is not the UFC. I know the UFC, that'd be an obvious fight to make if they were ran like the UFC, but they're not. So who knows, bro? He probably is going to, likely what he's going to do is come back against the can and knock the can out and knock a few cans out and try to make a claim for another title shot, which nobody's going to want to see. But that's boxing for you. Anyway, now we're finally moving on. Let's talk about the UFC real quick. Let's talk about some of the fight announcements before we get into the fight nights. So let's talk some of these fight announcements. Let's see. Calvin Keator versus Gigajit Kaze. Okay, so look, a lot of people are sleeping on Calvin Keator, man. And I get it. He got beat the crap out of he got the literal sweat beat off of his freaking... He got beat up. Okay, I get it. Took a lot of trauma in that fight with Max Holloway. I get it. But don't sleep on the guy, bro. Don't sleep on the guy. I know he's rumored to fight Gigajit Kaze. Dude, that is a winnable fight for him. I know it sounds weird, especially giving the style Calvin Keator has. But he could still win that fight. Remember, Calvin Keator has some of the best... It was proof that he doesn't have the best hands, but he has some of the best hands, probably the number 2, best hands in the freaking division, with legit knockout power still. And he has good pressure. If he can crowd the kicks of Gigajit Kaze and get it into boxing range, in the boxing range, it's not even competitive. In the boxing with Gigajit Kaze and Calvin Keator, it's not even comparable, honestly. He just has way better hands than Giga. But if he doesn't try to crowd Gigajit Kaze and he just tries to play a tit-for-tat fight with him, he's going to get lit up. Because Calvin Keator is a boxing-based style. Really good boxing. How do you fight a boxer in mixed martial arts? You do everything but box with him. Gigajit Kaze is going to light him on fire with low kicks, leg kicks, body kicks, the Giga kicks, head kicks. It'd be open city, freaking open fire with kicks if Calvin Keator sits there and fights the way that he fought Max Holloway. Back up, don't really want to just go first and try and engage. He's going to get lit on fire if he tries to play a technical fight with freaking Gigajit Kaze. Just the kicks is going to make it a really tough night for him. But he has to pressure him. If he can pressure him back and get him into these mini boxing exchanges, dude, he could knock out Gigajit Kaze. I know that sounds crazy, but he could. This is a test for Giga. This is a test, a real test for him. Do not sleep on Calvin Keator. If I was a betting man, yes, I'd pick Giga. But I wouldn't be shocked if Calvin Keator gets in the pocket and lands something heavy and puts down Giga and TKOs him. I wouldn't be surprised. Especially like a nasty body shot. I wouldn't be surprised. And speaking of body shots, if I had to pick a way Giga beats Calvin, if Calvin comes in there and tries to fight at distance, I can see either leg kicks just destroying him and he gets dropped due to leg kicks, or he gets a shin slammed into his stomach and he folds and Giga runs over and finishes him. I can see that too. Or just a flat out head kick. Calvin Keator's tough, but man, if he eats a head kick clean from Giga, he's going out. I don't care who you are. Anyway, now let's talk about this other fight. Like I said, I've been noticing these fights. I don't know why I haven't talked about Aldo versus Rob Font. So Aldo and Rob Font, that is a very competitive fight. If I was a betting man, I would pick Aldo. No joke. I think Aldo can beat Rob Font. Why? Because of his league leg. He does not check leg kicks. The boxing, although Calvin Keator may be the slicker, better boxer on paper, Aldo is no slouch on the feet. Or is no slouch with his hands. And he's faster than Rob Font. So if he can make the leg kicks work, continuously slam his shin into those legs. And first of all, Rob Font won't even have any wheels. And Rob Font slows down. Aldo also has nasty body shots that he implemented into his game. But that jab of Rob Font is probably going to like freaking just ping the head of Jose Aldo anytime he tries to enter, but that'll just be early. I think Aldo kicks that leg, works the body, and slows Rob Font down, if I'm honest. Rob Font's best way to win is to jab him and jab him. Just continuously jab him in 1-2s. Just try and keep Aldo off of him. If he can't do that, Aldo's going to beat the piss out of this boy, man. I'm just being real. That's honestly a 50-50 fight, but if I was a betting man, I'd honestly go with Aldo. Great fight, though. Great fight. Now, speaking of more bantamweights, let's keep talking bantamweights. This one is really exciting to me. Peter Youne. I'm going to call him Peter Youne because Piotr Youne is just so nerve-wracking to say. It's so nerve-wracking to say. Piotr Youne. Peter. I'm going to call him Peter. I'm sorry. Get mad at me. So what? Peter Youne versus Corey Sandhagen. First of all, Corey Sandhagen is a nightmare matchup for Piotr Youne. Nightmare matchup for Peter. So, if I'm Peter, I am going forward and I am trying to wrestle him, grapple him, mix up my grappling with my striking and trying to make it a dirty fight, you know? I'm trying to make it as dirty as I can. Because if he sits there and only tries to strike with Corey Sandhagen, he's possibly going to get finished. But he's going to get lit up, man. Corey Sandhagen is just a longer, better striker on paper. And it's so interesting because of the height and size difference. And the fact that Corey Sandhagen is an elite striker. That makes it interesting. But we also seen some of his holes exploited in the TJ Dillashaw fight. And let me just say this here now. TJ Dillashaw beat Corey Sandhagen. Sorry to break that to you, but he did. He beat Corey Sandhagen. 4 rounds to 1 in my opinion, but you can argue that the 5th round was a draw and it was 3-1. But in my eyes, I only saw Corey Sandhagen win in the 2nd round. Because I know in the judging criteria, despite what the Weasel says, despite what anybody else says, despite what all these guys say, in the judging criteria, octagon control and effective pressure is in the judging scoring criteria. TJ Dillashaw did those things. He held him up against the cage. I get it. He was attempting takedowns, didn't really get anything with the takedowns, and clinched him up against the cage. But that is effective pressure, guys. That's what that is. So let's just look at it from just a street fight standpoint. Let's just look at it from a fight standpoint. Let's say you got two guys fighting in the street, and one of the guys pins the other guy against the car, and he can't move. It's a boring fight. Nothing's really going on, but the other guy is holding the guy up against the car, and the other guy can't get out of it. Who's winning the fight? Exactly. It's the guy who's pinning the guy, because in my eyes, it's like, I'm holding you here and you can't do anything about it. Now, everything else factored into it. TJ Dillashaw also out-wrestled the guy, also put pressure on him, constantly kept walking Corey Sandhagen down. The strikes evened up due to the amount of leg kicks TJ Dillashaw was landing. Although Corey did land the more damaging shots, TJ Dillashaw also fought him was competitive with the damaging shots, because TJ also landed some big blows too. TJ won 3-1 with the fifth round being a draw round, 49-47. He beat him. Okay, he beat him. If you know mixed martial arts, TJ Dillashaw won that fight. But Corey Sandhagen probably saw the holes in that fight, or probably saw how he got beat, and adjusted accordingly. And he's probably got better takedown defense, probably got better grappling skills, and just all around a better fighter now. And that is going to be interesting problems for Peter, because if I'm Peter, you also got to look at the body of Corey Sandhagen. Work that body, because like I said, with Tyson Fury being a really fat guy, it also, if you don't have anything there, it's also just as even more damaging. You're more likely to break a rib if you ain't got much there holding it. And Corey Sandhagen doesn't. He's very skinny. Those body shots will have a nasty effect against him if Peter Yan wants to go that route. But if I'm Peter Yan, in his face, trying to grapple, working the body, working the legs, and constantly in his face, trying to make it a mixed martial arts fight, not a kickboxing match where he's only going to sit there and strike. If he only looks to strike with Corey Sandhagen, he is doing himself a massive disservice, and he's giving Corey his best shot to win the fight. He cannot do that. Interesting fight, you guys. That is honestly, Corey Sandhagen is probably his nightmare matchup. It's his nightmare matchup. But I want Peter to win. I'm rooting for Yan to win, because if Sandhagen wins, I just don't like how the state of the division will be if he wins. Because if he wins the interim strap, that means he's going to face Aljamain Sterling for the undisputed strap. Aljamain Sterling is clearly hiding from Peter Yan, and so I just don't want to see Sterling beat freaking Corey Sandhagen again. But if Sandhagen was to win this one, boy, I'm going to be cheering like crazy for him to beat Aljo. Because if Aljo, out of all of this pile of crap that's going on, if Aljo makes it to the top, and he's the one that makes it out alive, and he's still the champion, and he beats Corey Sandhagen, the state of the division will be in limbo, bro, because Peter Yan clearly beat, although he landed the illegal technique, boo-hoo, Aljamain Sterling faked it and got the belt. Oh my gosh. He got the belt off of a bad move. He clearly could have continued fighting, but he got the belt based off of a disqualification that he was clearly losing up until the disqualification. And then a guy coming off of a loss steps in to replace him after Aljo pulls out for the rematch. He pulls out of the fight. He pulls out of the rematch fight. So a guy that he beat soundedly, a guy that he choked out in the first round, steps in to replace him. And not to mention, that guy is coming off a loss, and then he beats the rightful champion in Peter Yan, and then gets his rematch with Aljo, and Aljo chokes him out again. That is just going to be insane. That'd be a W for Aljamain Sterling, but it would be a L for the bantamweight division. Because then Aljo's the champion. Petr Yan is going to have to work his way back up to a title shot. Probably has to beat TJ Dillashaw or something. And if Aljo beats Corey Sandhagen, it's going to be Dillashaw versus Aljo for sure. And I don't know who wins that fight. I really don't. That's a good fight. But that'd be the only W out of this. We get to see TJ versus Aljo. Other than that, it'd just be a fat L for the division. If Corey beats Peter, his best bet is to continue winning. Knock out Sterling so that we can get this at least an exciting rematch with him and TJ. At least. But that is the podcast. Oh, no, we got to talk about the fights that nobody watched this weekend. I know you guys didn't watch this fight. But Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez. Okay, let me just go ahead and blow through this because this podcast is already freaking 30 minutes long. So basically, Mackenzie Dern needs to work on her stand-up, bro. The grappling can't be your only way. We're at a point in mixed martial arts where you can't be just a one-dimensional fighter anymore, bro. You need to be well-rounded because these other well-rounded people are going to light you on fire. Not saying Marina Rodriguez, not saying that Marina is a talented striker or anything. Or she is, but I mean, like, it's not like she's just super well-rounded, like a future champion or anything, but you got exposed. Mackenzie Dern just got exposed. She got beat soundedly. Why? Because her stand-up was proven to be pretty poor. And she's only grappling. She's got good grappling, but her stand-up is pretty bad. And that was the story of the fight. She just got beat on the feet. Good job for Marina Rodriguez. For Mackenzie Dern, what's next for these two guys? Honestly, Marina Rodriguez, keep climbing up. Find somebody to fight. I don't know. And for Mackenzie Dern, maybe a Michelle Watterson fight. Why not? Who really cares? I'm just being real. Who really cares? But it's been your boy Trippy. Let me know what you guys think of the podcast. More podcasts coming out this week, or more content period coming out this week. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man. Peace.